Recording in progress.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And Amy, would you like to take roll?
Commissioner Dibdahl?
Here.
Commissioner Cronin?
Here.
Commissioner Wire?
Here.
Commissioner Shaw? And Mr. Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You have before you the consent calendar. Is there anything anyone wants to pull from the consent calendar or discuss? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under unfinished business, consider the permit to occupy the right-of-way for Dakota State University. And did you share a copy in that? Okay. And Ryan, do you want to address that at this point?
Sure. So if you recall, at the direction of the commission at the last meeting, which mentioned the suggestion of another mechanism like an easement to allow DSU to use some of the Lee Avenue right-of-way instead of vacating it, as the initial proposal was, I proposed a permanent permit to occupy right-of-way document to Dakota State University. After some back and forth, some discussion, and a few minor modifications to the original, both city staff and, unless they say otherwise tonight, DSU, are then asking the commission to consider action on that document. One item that has yet to be supplied is the exhibit. If you see the permit to occupy right-of-way form itself, it mentions that that there'd be a layout sheet. And so once that's provided, we'll be able to look at that layout sheet. I think it'll probably just, you know, consolidate their plan into one document. And if you see fit to approve this permit to occupy right-of-way, it would be contingent on that appropriate exhibit.
And we already have on hand and that the engineering plans and that show it. We just don't have the exhibit piece to go attached to this at this point. So I don't anticipate there being any changes in it from what we saw originally. So questions or comments?
We make mention of or in this document, a building or structure.
Yeah, so for the purposes of this agreement, a paved parking lot or roadway would be considered a structure. So whatever was built in there, be it a fence, a road, a parking lot, that would all fall under the definition of a structure.
Other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve or consider approving the permit, the right to occupy permit for Dakota State University.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under new business, public hearing for a temporary alcohol license to Sporty's Bar and Grill for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation event, February 8th, 2025. Is there anyone here to speak at the public hearing? Okay, go ahead. And then for the benefit of those at home, if you'd state your name.
Cam Schaefer?
Mm-hmm.
On the mic. Yep.
Yeah, just, there you go.
There you go. You got
There
it.
you got it.
Cam Schaefer?
There we go. There you go.
Okay.
Loud.
Do you want to give us a little bit of a background?
Yes, so Craig Failer reached out to me to do the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, at the Armory, since, Nikki's is no longer open. It is February 8th night, asked if we could do the liquor and beer for it. He told me about 150 people. We will be setting up that morning if we're approved, and, kinda, we've did, about 5 weddings there already, no problems at all. Got 2 of my better workers working that night too with me, so, but.
Very good. Okay. Questions or comments from the commission?
No, pretty straightforward. We've-
If not, we'll move into number 15, which is approve the temporary alcohol license for Sporty's Bar and Grill for the Rocky Mountain Foundation event, February 8th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary alcohol license for Sporty's Bar and Grill for the Rocky Mountain Foundation event on February 8th, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Number 16, approve resolution 2025-05,
Cam, you could just leave it.
Bridge Reinspection Program resolution for use with South Dakota DOT retainer contracts. Ryan, will you want to address this one?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So the city of Madison participates in the bridge inspection program using bridge replacement funds. Every 2 years, we have to inspect or re-inspect our bridge structures. And the South Dakota Department of Transportation pays 80% of that cost, and the city's responsible for the remaining 20% matching funds, and we're at that point in the cycle. There's a retainer list that the state provides, of which Banner and Associates, along with some other companies we've worked with, are on that list. We would recommend, I say we, my staff as well as Gary Gagnon on the streets, would recommend Banner and Associates because we've been really pleased with their work over the last couple of cycles. And so in order to be eligible for the federal funding, we have to have these inspections done, so it's something we'll definitely want to do. And the DOT would need this retainer contract signed before they could move forward.
All right. Any questions, comments?
No, seems pretty straightforward.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-05, Bridge Re-Inspection Program Resolution for the use of the DOT retainer contract.
With Banner and Associates?
With Banner, yes.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 17, approve the agreement with Banner and Associates for Segment 9 project, Blanche Avenue, and that should be southwest 5th, should be northwest 5th Street instead of southwest. And then on the actual drawing in our notes and that, it has southwest. So, but that should be for the northwest 5th Street and Blanche intersection. Ryan, would you like to address that one?
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you for that. So this agreement is for professional services for what we're calling the Segment 9 Street and Utility Improvement Project. This project, as you mentioned, is that intersection of Blanche and Northwest 5th Street. This is where a sinkhole had developed in May. They required that intersection be closed down temporarily until we could get some fill material in there and patch the road. At that time, upon investigating that sinkhole, it isn't just a surfacing fix. It'll require a new sanitary sewer manhole. Along with that, it's going to be necessary to remove and replace the water main as well. The project is needed so it doesn't become an emergency situation again. So this contract would be an amount not to exceed $57,425. It would include topo survey, design development, all environmentals, drainage, roadway design, utility design, bid letting, construction staking, and construction observation.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Banner Associates for Segment 9 project, Blanche Avenue and Northwest Fifth Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 18, approve the agreement with Bros Engineering for the 2025 Multi-Community Asphalt Surface Treatment Project. And again, Ryan, would you like to address this one?
Yeah. This agreement would allow us to be on the multi-community chip seal project that Bros Engineering administers. We've been part of that project for the last 2 years and have been very happy with the product as well as the prices we've seen through that bid process. The amount of total fees this year would be $16,360. That's slightly lower than what we saw last year for the same square yardage. So actually a small cost decrease from what it was last year.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Seems to be a better end product.
And they are quick. So,
Is it the same? Do they bid it out again, or how does that?
Yeah, so they would prepare the plans. Each community provides their square yardage and then a little map to Bros, and then they all put it together for the bidding documents. Bid it out, hold the bid opening, and then they also do the administration on it. So they're, along with the contractor, as they're doing the work and making sure that they're meeting all the specs, and they're able to keep track of all quantities and make sure that we're not getting any overages there.
Question unrelated to the professional services agreement for Ryan. The streets that have been recently finished in town that are, do we have any coming out of the warranty period that we're gonna be chip sealing in the next year or two, or any of those on here?
So all that I've given them thus far is just the square yardage. I'm working on the map right now to try to figure out what areas we want to do. I agree, I think that those are areas we need to jump to and get done.
Okay, thank you.
other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve agreement with Bros Engineering for 2025 multi-community asphalt surface treatment project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 19, authorize the mayor to sign the change order number 1, Park Creek Walls Improvements, Site 2, with Kesselut Excavation. And again, Ryan, would you want to address this?
Yeah, this change order number 1 is on the Park Creek Walls Site 2, that would be the Memorial Park section. This change order is a reduction in the scope of work on the project. Initially, the plans had showed a landscape retaining wall that was incorporated into the design that was meant to try to make the slopes a little bit more maintainable by our park staff. Following the project bid, it was requested by FEMA that we provide a new no-rise certification on that embankment modification, and then redo the Clomar that could have set us back months. So in lieu of modifying that, we're choosing now to just restore the site grades to what they were previously and forego that landscape retaining wall. So this would reduce the total contract price by $124,000.
And they have been moving right along, working on that too.
Yeah, they are. They're making very good progress.
Yeah. Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign change order number 1, Park Creek Walls Improvement Site 2, Kesselut Excavation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 20, authorize the mayor to sign change order number 2, Park Restroom Project 2024-3 with Amert Construction. And again, I'll ask Ryan.
Yeah, so this change order would be to provide and install perimeter insulation and add 6 4-inch head door frames. So that total change order is an increase of $3,070. The perimeter insulation was requested by staff as the project was happening. It was thought that it would be extra protection for the water lines and everything under the buildings. It wasn't initially determined to be needed. However, I think city staff felt better about adding that perimeter insulation and requested that of the contractor. The 6 4-inch head door frames, my intent in bidding that project out was that they would be 4-inch head door frames. During discussion with the contractor, they had said that, no, that their bid included a 2-inch. We definitely need that 4-inch head door because it's a block wall building. So those 6 frames equal $1,240. And again, that total change order is $3,070, bringing the contract price to $197,153.
Questions or comments?
This change order, even though the project was in 2024, will be applied to the 2025 budget. Budget will do a appropriation supplement if necessary at the end.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve change order number 2, park restroom project 2024-3 to Amert Construction.
All those in favor? Go ahead.
Kelly, second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 21, authorize the mayor to sign change order number 3, Lakeview Industrial Park Improvements with Bose Construction Incorporated. And again, I'll ask Ryan to address that.
Yeah, thank you. So this change order 3 is for the Lakeview Industrial Park improvements. This would be on 16th Street, Industry Avenue, and Washington Avenue. This is that EDA project with, excuse me, with Lake Area Improvement Corporation. The total amount of increase of this change order is $3,239.89. As you probably recall, the city is only paying a small portion of this. I don't know what percentage of that amount would even be a city cost, but since the project was bid through the city and we are actually the entity in charge of this project, this change order has to come through the city commission. The reason for the change is just a few minor changes to the plans as the work was being performed. These included a couple of valves on some hydrant leads and some fittings, and then there was installation of some caps and some other water main work. So this was rather minor in the large scope of things.
Questions or comments? Okay, if not, do we have a motion?
Go
I'll-
ahead.
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign change order number 3, Lakeview Industrial Park Improvements, Bose Construction.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 22, 2025 finance updates, and Jameson and Amy, do you want to take that one?
Sure. The first item on it is our engagement letter is signed for the 2023 annual report. Tyler training for fixed assets and inventory modules is scheduled to begin in February, and 1099s will be mailed January 27th. We have cash on hand, general cash at $12.47 million, investments 5.88 million, checking at 6.18 million, money market 156,000, other 253,000, restricted cash 624,000.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you have a question?
Anyone have any questions or comments?
No?
On the last page, or? No, no.
We have revenue guidelines.
So is this as of end of January, or November, December, what are these?
These are as of the end of December, so there will be some adjusting entries that come in for any invoices. The cutoff deadline date on that was January 15th to receive any 2024 invoices, and we'll make adjusting entries throughout the end of this month, and we'll see those numbers change the first part of next month.
So some of these, like, Fund 621, the 141%, do we know the reason for the deviation there?
Absolutely. So she had an overage in her revenue on that, and that was mainly due to the grant funds that she received.
So we'll have finals next meeting
Correct.
for the year.
We'll see slight adjustments in some of the funds.
And on the after-school program, and that, it'll probably still remain as an overage for a while, because that was monies that she received that will probably be used in 2025 as well.
She had to allocate all those funds through 2024, so she won't have any more of those to use, but it is extra revenue for her.
Yes,
Yep.
yep.
And I'll note it's important on both the revenue and the expenditure guidelines. Typically, you'd expect at a year end, we'd be close to the 100% mark.
Yes.
When we put together these budgets in advance, there's a lot of big projects moving around, whether it is loans that we're expecting to get for projects, and if those projects are moved up, if they're delayed, that changes these numbers quite a bit. So just because we have marked at 58% for the end of the year doesn't mean that we underestimated our revenues by 40%. Amy might be able to provide more information on the spot, or otherwise she can get back to us, but I imagine that there's some of those big changes are for large projects that did not occur as expected.
So like the 213 line item. It's kind of what you were talking, we're a little over half of what we,
Right?
or not
I don't know,
214.
I don't want to put Amy in the spot. but
213.
Yeah, these are certainly areas that we can dive into to figure out what the discrepancies are. Amy, any
Yeah.
thoughts? Or?
I don't have any information on hand about the second cent sales tax. A good example would be the Creek Bridge mitigation. That shows a revenue which we did not go out to source in 2024, so you're going to see a variance there. So those are the types of changes you will be looking to see.
The second cent is a good question on that one, Dre, because that one you would expect to be more accurate. And as you'll see later when we get to the sales tax data, that came in where we expected. So that's a good one that we'll have to dig into deeper.
Yeah, right, the 2.8% on the expense side.
Other questions? Okay. Not, Amy, you want to go
Yep.
on to?
Expenditure guidelines.
Yeah, just same comment, if we can have a little overview on the extreme, the extremes based off percentage.
I think once we get everything input and all of them adjusting entries, we can definitely provide further detail.
Perfect.
Now,
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit muffled, but I have a question too. It looks like, the water and electric revenues and expenditures are the exact same. Is that right?
Yeah, that'd be accurate. Because with those enterprise funds, our expenditures are always going to be matching our revenues, whether we're actually using them or whether we're allocating them to the correct account for that. That's just how the accounting is set up.
other questions?
by fund for December of 2024.
Seeing none, by fund,
Year-to-date,
excuse me.
But we have a P and L for the year as well. A report, when you roll it up.
yeah, we could definitely put one together.
Yeah, thank you.
Our sales tax data shows that December was down 11.99% with an overall up of 4.57%.
I'll note a couple things for December, and I'll try to speak into it a little bit, and Kelly, you can let me know later if the audio comes through better. So a couple things with the sales tax. I think we've been saying this basically all year long, is one is that it's been very volatile a year. These are things we don't have control over. Generally, what we are learning is that these are businesses in town who either are audited and realize that they owe more in sales tax than they had paid in the past, and so they pay up to catch up, or possibly they made a mistake and they paid too much, and there's a correction made at a later month that removes that away. That is part of the reason why, if you look at the sales tax numbers, they've jumped around so much, particularly so in '24 versus the other years. As a result, next year, when we start looking at sales tax data, if we just look purely year over year, you're also gonna see some volatility there, because April, for example, being up 50%, next April's probably not gonna be higher than that one was. That was a particularly strong one, and there's unusual circumstances that led to that. So next April, we might have a great April, but it's probably gonna be down year over year. So just keep that in mind as we go through 2025, that those year over year numbers will be skewed. Looking more specifically on the December numbers, December 23 was a strong month, and so I'm looking a year back. And so since 23, December was a strong month. It was up 20% from the year before that. So the fact that our December this year was down 12% is partly due because we're comparing it against a really good year. If we compare it to an average year, those numbers would look different, but 23 was just a good year, and so we were down this year. Of course, we're still up overall in the year, and so that's a positive sign that we're looking at. 4.6%, so those are good numbers. In general, 23 was a really good year, so you look at all of 23, that was up 10% from 2022. 10% is very strong growth. I don't believe any city this year had 10% growth. When I look at the top 15 or 20 cities, there might be some smaller towns that jump around a little bit more. When I look at the larger cities, 10%, last year for us was a great year, and the fact that we still grew 4.6% this year on top of that good year from last year are all good signs. So those are some things to keep in mind. I think generally they do show that some positive trends for where we're going in sales taxes, but we do want to keep in mind that this year the volatility still ended up being positive for us. Next year the volatility could be more negative, and we're always watching those numbers to see where they're coming in. As some cities who have more negative volatility or just negative decreases in general, they have to make mid-year adjustments. So Madison, like every city, is always watching those to make sure that, if needed, we make adjustments as we go through the year. So I'll stand by for any questions on sales tax.
Questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, do we have any public comment? I guess I would say at this point, we probably don't. State of the City address and City Hall open house and ribbon cutting will be Monday, January 27th, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And then our next regular commission meeting will be Monday, February 3rd at 5:30 p.m. So keep those two dates in mind. So any questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Recording.
Were these mics do not want to